If a woman is hooking up with a guy, she's going to be very insistent that he use protection, right? Like in the first instance, she doesn't want to get pregnant, but she's also a responsible woman. She doesn't want to expose herself to potential STIs. Well, it turns out that these concerns that she has, getting pregnant, getting a sexual disease, might not actually be that big of a concern so long as the guy is really hot. If the guy's only average looking, then of course he needs to use protection. After all, she is a responsible woman. But you know, if he has like a really good looking face, maybe it's okay to make an exception. I know that that sounds ridiculous, like this can't possibly be true, that women would be so easily swayed on something as important as protection based on something so superficial and shallow, like whether the guy is good looking. But this is what researchers wanted to find out in this new study that I've just found called "Does Attractiveness Influence Condom Use Intentions in Women Who Have Sex with Men?" There's a link down below if you want to read the study for yourself. The study involved 480 women from the UK and Canada. The average age of the participants was 20, and the results of this study are extraordinary. Again, let's start with the obvious. The more attractive a man was judged to be on average, the more likely participants would be willing to have sex with him. Women are more likely to sleep with hot guys? That's so surprising. It's so obvious. I know it seems weird to even include that part, but there are still honestly guys out there who believe that women are above, superficial considerations like a man's appearance. And it's important to just constantly reaffirm, hey, no, women care about looks too. But moving on to the important question, does a man's attractiveness impact the rules that she has about using protection during sex? Reading directly from the study, the more attractive a man was judged to be, the less likely women were to intend to use a condom during sex. Boom. That is proof. There is one rule for the chumps and one rule for the chads. But wait, this gets worse, because what the study found out is that this isn't just one woman making an individual choice about her, her personal preference. This is something that women understand and recognize that other women do as well, like it's this collectively known strategy choice. Reading directly from the study, on average, participants judged that more women like themselves would have sex without a condom with the men that they judged on average to be more attractive. They all do it. They all make this exception, and they understand that other women are also going to make this exception. But perhaps the most shocking result of all is that when a woman is considering whether or not to use a condom with her sexual partner, the most important consideration is his appearance. The likelihood that he's a carrier of STIs doesn't even factor in to her consideration. The average perceived STI likelihood for a man had no significant association with average condom use intentions towards him. I mean, what the hell? Sometimes reality is just so far from what we've been told that it just boggles the mind. Women don't care about the likelihood that he has sexual diseases. That doesn't factor into her consideration of whether or not to use a condom, but how hot he is does. That's the important factor here. We are so much more superficial than we think that we are. We care about looks way more than we admit, and women are just as bad as men. I mean, this is remarkable. I always use a condom, but if he's good looking, then yeah, not so much. Okay, so what is the explanation? Why are women making this choice? Okay, so I've got two thoughts about this. The first is that there is a possible social explanation. That is that women are less likely to use a condom during sex with a really hot guy because she really wants to please him. It's no secret that lots of men prefer to have sex without a condom because it reduces sensation, reduces pleasure, and it's quite a common occurrence for a man to try and talk a woman into letting him have sex with her without a condom. You know how it goes. Like, oh, come on, do we have to? I just want to feel close to you. Let's just do it this once. So with the social explanation, this woman is thinking, well, ordinarily condoms are non-negotiable for me, but this guy's really hot and I want to keep him happy. So if he's like insisting or really desiring to not use a condom, I think I need to accommodate that so I can keep him interested in me. So that's the social explanation, and I think that probably explains it somewhat, but I also think that we need to look deeper into a possible biological explanation. Facial attractiveness is not actually as superficial as I was making it out to be earlier in this video, because it can indicate good genes, a man who is a healthy specimen. That's important for reproductive success and having healthy children. Now, as I've explained in my other videos, particularly the one on why women evolved to conceal their ovulation, I'll put a link to that down below if you haven't seen that one. Really good video. But evolution has actually selected for cuckoldry to be a sexual strategy for women. What I mean by cuckoldry is that for some women, the best opportunity she has, reproductively speaking, is to sleep with a really hot guy, even if he has no interest in committing to her, because at least then her children are going to have his fantastic genes, and she can always convince some other chump that the kids are his, paternity fraud, or convince him to raise them for her. So that's the possible biological explanation, is that it's less important for a woman to use a condom with a really hot guy because, hey, if she gets pregnant to him, that's actually not such a bad thing. But regardless, if a woman is operating out of social instincts or biological instincts, what's important and what this study reminds us is that women put men in two distinct categories. She makes rules for these guys and she breaks rules for these guys. And it turns out that nothing is really so sacred to a woman that this dichotomy doesn't apply. Even the risk of sexual diseases and unwanted pregnancy are not concerning enough to warrant uniform treatment of all men. It's remarkable, but women will actively talk themselves out of their own perception of risk in order to justify the exceptions that they make for this group of men. They will deny evidence and ignore reality if it means that they continue to uphold that dichotomy and break the rules for this group of, high-value men. In this research, they reference a couple of other studies done on the same subject. The authors found that the more a participant was attracted to a potential partner, the less likely they were to consider this person as a health risk, despite the presentation of risky features. Even if there is evidence that this guy is a health risk, she will ignore that evidence if he's hot. Relatedly, Sparling and Kramer also found that participants showed greater risk-taking intentions with hypothetical partners they had rated as more appealing. I'll say it again, she makes rules for one group of men and she breaks rules for the other group. Women split men into two categories. They probably always done this, they probably always will. The important question is, which of these categories do you belong to? Do women say things to you like, I don't usually do this, or I've never done this before? Do you see evidence of women stepping outside of their comfort zone in order to accommodate you, in order to keep you happy? Are they making exceptions to their own value system for your benefit? Because if they are, then that's wonderful. Congratulations. They see you as a winner and your life is probably going to be really great. Or conversely, have you noticed women making exceptions in their lives for other guys, but not for you? Did she try things in the bedroom with her ex-boyfriend that she refuses to do with you? Do women ever tell you that she won't sleep with a man on a first date when you know for a fact that she has? In everything, in all circumstances, are you treated better than the other men in her life, or are you treated worse? These are the clues that you need to look for. Are you a man that she makes rules for or breaks rules for? If you do find yourself in that bottom category of men, I highly encourage you to do everything in your power to try and elevate yourself into that higher category, because life at the bottom of the pecking order is not much fun. How do you do that? Well, I do have a video on my Patreon about how to become a high quality man, but even just looking at the videos here on my public YouTube channel where all the information is free, that's a really good start. Get educated, improve your self-esteem, create a vibrant social circle filled with other high quality people. You do all that and then you can find yourself a high quality woman who views you as a man who is valuable enough to make exceptions for. Everything in the world is about sex, except for sex, which is about power. Have you ever heard that quote? Somebody asked me recently what my thoughts about it are, and so I made it the topic of my latest Patreon video. I talk about how there are some really important truths that come from that, but also why it's a ridiculous quote and shouldn't be taken, absolutely seriously. It's a fun video, so if you want to check that out, go and sign up on my Patreon. It's just $5 a month. I got heaps of videos over there, really great content. If you're not seeing it, you're missing out. Go sign up.